Hello and welcome back to the Earth to Marissa podcast. This is a part 2 episode of the beautiful astrological update of September 2025, the 999 portal, and the eclipse season that we are having this fall starting the 7th of September with Brielle Freeman. In the earlier episode, we talked about the 99 portal, what nines mean, the year of the snake, which is 2025. We also talked about the September energy update that I channeled. Go check that out on YouTube if you haven't. And the eclipse season. Brielle broke down the Virgo, Pisces, Saturn, Jupiter, and Cancer energies that we will be experiencing this eclipse season. So if you want to be in the know, go listen to that. And in this part 2, Brielle is going to be giving me a little sneak peek into how the astrology of the eclipse season will be affecting me for my own personal chart. So if you are interested in seeing and hearing how a birth reading, well, I guess this isn't a birth reading, it's more of an eclipse reading, an astrological reading occurs, and if you're interested in what can come through, how it can support you, what insights it holds, stay tuned for this, and Brielle will be showing us her magic. There we go. Yep. Yes. Okay, welcome. Hey.
Hello again, y'all. You have to catch part 1. Okay, this is going to be so potent, and y'all will see what it's like for me to dive in and give you all the cosmic insight. But part 1 is so juicy too. We have all of the good fine details from eclipse season, how September 7th is landing for us with the first eclipse, how 9/9 is landing for us as a portal day, and the last eclipse of the year, September 21st, paired with the start to Libra season, Mabon in the wheel of the year, and all of September's energies. So she had the energy update, I brought the astrological correspondences, and it was flowing through. So have to go check that out.
It all resonated. Yes, it all very much so resonated, what I got from Spirit and what she got from the stars. They overlapped divinely. It was crazy.
Yeah, it always feels like that. It truly does. And that's just us living with the natural seasons of life out here. Period. I love living with the zodiac cycles and the natural seasons of life. And that's what my platform is over there too. I'm Brielle Freeman, an astrologer and mystic. I have my own platform as Be Free Energy. You can find my podcast on all platforms and my Instagram as befree.energy. So my podcast usually highlights astrology, intuition, and folklore. So this will be one of my first live readings as an episode.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for that. My bestie over here.
I can't wait.
It's not going to be biased. Don't worry. I just know everything about you. No,
good. Yeah. Unbiased, please.
No, it's okay. Yeah. It's going to be great. I usually love reading the birth chart and natal chart readings as a personal form of empowerment. And those readings that I offer are our therapy sessions. And they range anywhere from 1 to 2 hours. So this one is if you have some changes in your life, you're anticipating a shift, if you're just simply curious on how eclipse season will land for you, where this Virgo season is, how that's landing for you. And then mid-September when Libra season starts, what is that switch? What does that look like? Where is Virgo highlighting your chart? Where is Libra highlighting your chart? And how these eclipses come in based on me viewing your personal chart, how these come into your arenas of life. So really seeing how the eclipse is going to land for you. I love reading around eclipse season. And when things get shaken up, I get the most messages of, oh my God, I need a reading.
During what's going season. On? What's going on?
Yeah. Yeah,
these are we are lights in the dark for people. That's oftentimes when I want a reading from somewhere else, is when I'm there's too much going on and I can't even hear myself.
I know, truly. And I love that. That's why I have the platform. I love sharing my light in this way.
Yes.
So I'm going
Me
to pull
too.
up your chart here. Usually this is personal for everyone. So we're not screen sharing. That's totally okay. But if y'all are curious, you can pull up your own natal chart and always consult me and ask questions if you're curious on how this is landing. I will explain everything in a digestible way to the best of my ability, to explain everything I'm talking about, what I'm looking at. And you can just hop on Google or message me with my own software to pull up your birth chart. Marissa has given me her birth date with the year, the birth time, and the location of birth. So I've pulled the chart up for her date of birth with the house system I like to use most, which is Placidus. So if you listen to any kind of horoscopes, people you like that are on Instagram or online, if you're getting your readings in by people who are giving you some horoscopes for certain, amounts of time, whether it's an eclipse horoscope or the week of kind of horoscope, they will cast the chart and pull up the chart with their preferred house system. If you listen to Chani Nicholas, she uses whole sign, whole house system. I use Placidus, and I'll explain just a little bit, not to go over anyone's head about what this means, but when you pull up your chart, you can choose from many different house systems. This will show how the houses are in the birth chart aligned, how it will line up to certain degrees, and if you want it to look really neat and clean, you can use the whole house system. That means all of the lines in the birth chart will line up directly with the sign, like very clean, right to the sign that is majorly influencing that house, ruling that house. But for me, I like to use Placidus because there can be multiple signs in a house. So in this little chunk, there's a little chunk from the house, and there's 12 signs in astrology. So there's 12
like
houses
pizza.
in the wheel. Yeah, it is like yes. In whole sign, the pieces of the pizza will be the same size and chunk.
Mm-hmm.
In Placidus, those sizes of the pizza, some will be small, some will be big, and they will not be the same size. It won't be lined up like cookie cutter. And with multiple houses in one sign, 2 to 3, 1 to 3, really, there's a story there from one sign into the next in the same house. There's like an energy, and I feel like that's a transition worth noting. That is an energy with a storytelling of its own. So, we can explain for you what this looks like. And Marissa, while I'm talking, I think it's good you can pull up your own chart on your phone, or I could just send it to you real quick what I'm looking at.
I heard recently someone was talking about like share your chart with me, and she was like, okay, I'll send you my nude. And I thought that was really funny that she referred to her birth chart as a nude, because it is that like it's that sensitive. There's a lot of like sensitive information like that is like you were saying. Like I was like, sure, we could show my chart, and you were like, maybe not.
That is so funny.
And I know now why, because there is a lot of sensitive information on the chart.
And it's just personal. I love that metaphor. I love that metaphor. It is personal, and I just want you to be looking at what I am explaining, and for you guys to see what I like to look at, what I'm pinpointing, and what it would look like if you have an eclipse or transit reading with me. So during this eclipse portal, we are speaking of September 2025, and the first eclipse occurs on September 7th. All of that good juicy info is in the first part 1 episode, but if you're just catching this and just interested, then you can kind of see what we're talking about with September 7th and the first eclipse. That is a total lunar eclipse in Pisces, and it is sitting near the North Node in Pisces. The second eclipse, which is the last one of the year, closing out our eclipse portal, is September 21st, which is a solar eclipse, which is a new moon in Virgo, a solar eclipse in Virgo, and that is sitting near the South Node in Virgo. So every eclipse is sitting near either one of the nodes. The nodal axis is the South Node and the North Node. And I want to hit on Marissa's nodal axis during this chart reading too, because her North and South Node are in the same axis that our current South and North Node are
Yes.
in, just reversed. Just reversed. So, yeah, the South Node is seen as where we're coming from. And on a collective level, the South Node is seen as what we're shedding and what we're releasing. The North Node on a collective level is where we're heading. And on a personal level, the North Node is the lessons we're supposed to learn in this life. So every time there's an eclipse and there's a shift and there's an upheaval and there's shadow work, those eclipse portals are attuned to these karmic destiny points, these, aspects of where we're heading and where we've been come through in the eclipse seasons. So that's what I'm also wanting to highlight.
Okay, so we are going to cover Marissa's birth chart and see how the eclipse is landing for her, see how Virgo season and Libra season will land for her, and to read for her reverse nodal axis. This is your nodal return, but swapped, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
The nodal axis changes signs every 18 months for over a year, a little bit. We will have those signs for those nodal axes. And so right now, our South Node in Virgo and North Node in Pisces is currently in the sky, attuned to these eclipses happening. But Marissa has her South Node in Pisces and her North Node in Virgo. So it's the same signs for her South and North Node, but swapped. It is her reverse nodal return. And I could see this still being very prominent. The people who are experiencing their nodal return and their reverse nodal return are also experiencing their Saturn returns right now as well. So also, yeah, just all the stuff,
Very
going
intense.
on. Yeah, and this will still land. I think the eclipses will land more prominently for you with the nodal axis being attuned to these from the same signs that are in your natal chart. So with the nodal return and the reverse nodal return, it's going to be very prominent, and I think you will feel it at a heightened level. Both eclipses from the spring and the fall, I think you will feel that at a heightened level. And Saturn has a lot to do with these eclipses right now, too. And you are going through your Saturn return you're in your first year of it. Saturn entered Aries this spring. She has her Saturn in Aries natally. So when I say she has her natal Saturn in Aries, that's from her birth chart. So each time we describe a return, that means that celestial body in our sky is coming back to the point where it was in our birth chart. And a fun way of saying happy birthday is saying happy solar return. Because the sun has come back to the place it was when you were born, right? And every time we're like, it's Virgo season, it's because the sun is in Virgo right now. It is Virgo season.
Yes.
The sun is in Virgo. That for Virgos right now is their solar return. So Saturn is coming back for you to have your Saturn return. As people may know listening in astrology readings and in pop astrology, that your Saturn return is kind of a big deal and things kind of, hit the fan. There's a lot of upheaval and a lot of change.
And I didn't realize that it was multiple years. I thought it was like just a 1 year and we're done. But you said it's like 3 years?
Yeah, it's about 3 years, and it takes place around ages 27, 28, and it can just depend not when you turn 28, but when Saturn enters that sign that is your natal Saturn sign. Yeah, and you have this paired with eclipses. So I will describe first with her chart. She is a Pisces sun, beautiful, flowy, fluid mermaid, and an Aries moon. So your Aries moon is 1 degree. The 1 degree and the 0 degree is something so new. And Aries is the first of the zodiac, which is so much newness. And it's like you're just getting to know what Aries means in 1 degree. But what's so fascinating as a Pisces sun, Pisces is the last of the zodiac. That is your core and your personality and your persona, and the sun is your path. So that's how Pisces lands for you. But your moon is your internal and your emotions and your inner monologue and your animalistic instincts, which is the first of the zodiac. So your path is like old and wise and like the fluid water, and it's the last of the zodiac, and then you have your inner self, which is the first, and it's like it doesn't even know what life is. It has to go experience it. Aries
Yes.
wants to live off of those experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what's so fascinating with that dichotomy, and the balance is like you are the newborn and the elder
No
both
wonder
at the
there's so
same
much
time.
inner conflict.
I
No.
know. I know. And truly, Aries moons have the best memes out there. Y'all do not disappoint with Aries memes. Aries moons are represented so nicely. It is so funny with the
I
memes for
love
Aries
that.
moons. So it's kind of like a really cute little mad baby. And
Oh,
that's the newborn.
I feel seen.
Yeah. And I just want to highlight the Pisces sun for her and the Aries moon for her because the big three is so prominent. Um, the luminaries, the sun and the moon, and your rising or your ascendant make up your big three. Each time you go through an eclipse portal, I encourage you guys to look and see how this is landing for you and indulge in readings that include your big three. You want to look to readings and horoscopes, especially in eclipse season, for both, for all three, for all those signs, for your big three. So if you have any like horoscopes for people you like to listen to or read about, read horoscopes written and listen to for your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign. So the rising for Marissa is a Leo rising. She has the fire from her Leo and the fire from her moon and the water from her sun. I think this is so beautiful. I love the creativity here with your big three. Um, with your rising sign, and anyone who pulls up their chart can go right now and go look and go to your rising sign on the left. The left of the chart has an arrow that will be the horizontal axis. So the line going straight across horizontally is the ascendant and the descendant. The ascendant will be on the left to mark your rising, and the descendant will be on the right to mark your DC, your descendant. So your rising is always that left arrow indicative of your ascendant, which means this is where the sun was at on the horizon, the day and time and place you were born. The other angles besides the ascendant and descendant is the vertical line in your chart that goes from top to bottom. The bottom is the IM. It's Latin, which kind of means like the fall. And the top is the midheaven. And I also want to read for the midheaven for you, right? So this is what I like to focus on as an angle in a birth chart reading too. So the top is an arrow you will see, and it does have an arrow marked on the line in your birth chart. That is at the top of your chart. That is where the sun was at its highest point at the time of your birth. That is called the midheaven or the MC. So these are the four angles: your ascendant, descendant, IM, and MC. Now, as you know, there are 12 houses, there are 12 signs. So, how do you look to the houses in your birth chart? This is where the horoscopes are written. And traditionally, the horoscopes were written based on your rising sign. And I think now that that's fallen away and we've like kind of gone away a little bit, we've more focused as a culture on our sun sign. I really like to still focus on the rising sign and write and read horoscopes based on your rising sign because it's showing you the houses it's landing in. It's
That's
showing you
interesting.
how it's going to
So,
land for you.
so anytime I look up a horoscope, I should be looking for Leo?
Yes. Yes. I would read your
Interesting.
big three. I
Just
really
all the
would.
time. Yeah.
All the
Okay.
time. So you're hitting your path, your personality, you're hitting your emotions, your inner monologue, you're hitting your perception and how it's going
Got
to
it.
land for you with the
Got it.
houses. Yeah.
Interesting.
So horoscopes were traditionally written for you to be read by your rising sign. Time
Interesting.
of birth is what gives you your rising sign to kick off the houses accurately. But if you don't have your time of birth, that's okay. You can pull up your natal chart guesstimating morning, midday, or evening if you can. So that is how we get the rising reading, the angles, the times, the horizon of the sun, all of that, just to explain what we're looking at. So Marissa has a Leo rising, and every time you're looking at your rising on your chart, that left arrow, that line that's indicative of your ascendant, will start off the first house below it. So you can see your first house, which the rising is always the first house, is Leo and Virgo. Underneath that line kicks off the first house, and then the second house, third house, and so on to end your 12th house still with Leo because of the way the angles line up. This is Placidus. If you read whole house system, you would have Leo as your first and Cancer as your 12th. And that's okay. You can read both and definitely take in research for different house systems.
So it's counterclockwise.
Yes, it is counterclockwise. Great. So can you see right now your first house with Leo and Virgo in the first house? Okay, well, this is Virgo season. This, where the sun is at currently, is highlighting your first house. So Virgo is in your first house with Leo. Right now the sun is in Virgo and it's Virgo season. This is illuminating your first house themes. So Virgo season as a whole, not just eclipses, but like Virgo season is landing for you with yourself, your image, your perception, how you appear to others, how others are perceiving you. It's your physical, it's your body, and I also like to see it as your expression and your taste with your style. It's like outfits too. With a Leo rising, it is fabulous and extravagant and so dramatic. Leaning into like the theater kid, right? Like leaning into the inner theater kid with Leo, as always. I love that. So, how are you refining with Virgo these parts of your body and image and self perception? And are you, with Virgo as a tendency this season, we can often have refinement and an inner critic voice. I invite us to just acknowledge it, but not so much lean into it and, you know, kind of see the inner critic for what it is, but not get so wrapped into it. And so there's a way that maybe you're refining your physical, you know, your body, your image, the ways in which you want to present yourself to the world, how people can perceive you in person and online. Are you doing something in your branding? This is the bad bitch boss babe rising for Leo to be like, okay, well, I'm my brand, and that's going to be bold. You know, you might be refining those aspects of yourself for this season with your rising here. Virgo also goes into your second house, which is money and values and assets and income, and kind of how you're looking right now to job security or creativity and financial freedom. You're seeing what you value. For Virgo, lighting up your second house as well this season, I can see towards the end of the season, because Placidus is kind of this house system that shows like an energy transition with the beginning of Virgo in your first house and the secondary half of Virgo in your second house. Maybe the second half of Virgo season brings in these themes of the second house with what you're valuing and a shift in income. It might just shift what that is looking like, right? And if I didn't know you, I'd still say this. But since I do know you, this is a point in your career that you're changing that isn't so much the weekly or bi-weekly steady paycheck so much as it is like, okay, I'm going off on this endeavor and I don't know what that's going to look like, but it's something that I'm shifting because what do I value? Freedom and creativity, right?
Yes.
Second house is still that with what you are valuing, and it's freedom right now. Not so much, you can look at your assets and resources, but there's a shift. There's a shift with that personally, if you want to test, I don't know, don't have to talk about income, but there's a shift in how you are making that and what that looks like. So that's how Virgo season is right now landing for
That's
you.
cool. That resonates so much. Yes.
No,
Get
good.
that
I love
sippy
to hear
sip.
that. I know. Sponsored by VA Energy Drink.
Hey.
Not sponsored. Sponsor us. So you can always see, every time the sun changes, anytime a celestial body changes signs, look to your birth chart. Look to see what's going on, where that is for you, and what house that's occurring in will show you the arena of life that is being highlighted for you. So, how the eclipses will land for you will sit really closely to your Aries moon. I could see a lot coming up with emotions and empathy. And I think that's something you already embody as a Pisces for sure. But I feel like there's a lot of emotional, there's a heightened emotional acuity here. And that's also because Pisces is the watery, emotional sign that gives more credit to empathy and psychic abilities. I could see the eclipses happening and when they're happening for you, light up your psychic abilities and be an invitation to connect with them more.
Would
But
love.
more, yes, more so in an intuitive way of feeling into them because it's feeling based, because it's emotionally based. It's like, what are the emotions and feelings I am feeling surrounding these abilities and what this means to me? Not so much of a performative way, like not so much with the Leo, but more with the Pisces water element. And that's a mutable element too. Pisces modality to be mutable means that it can go with the flow, it can be in between, it can hold this and that. It's like this and yes and it's like both. It's a balance. And the first eclipse happening with the total lunar eclipse in Pisces will be activating, if you want to count from your rising sign to the chart Pisces, house Pisces is in for you. We'll count together 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The seventh house for you is Pisces and a little bit into,
Taurus.
yeah,
Aries.
and
Sorry.
Aries. hmm
Aries, yeah.
So Pisces is in your seventh and eighth house, and you have a lot of placements in Pisces. It's like this cluster over here. It's
Yeah,
a
what
focus
is
in
all of
your
that?
chart. Yeah. You're a Pisces stellium, babe.
Oh, am
You can
I?
see. Yeah, a stellium means you have 3 or more. So
Oh, yeah.
you have your sun in Pisces, your south node in Pisces, your Mercury, which is a personal planet in Pisces, and your Venus, which is a personal planet in Pisces. So not only are 2 personal planets in Pisces, as well as your sun, but the karmic destiny point of the south node is too. So if you were to look at like your big 3 in personal placements, like first, these are what are most unique to you. That half of it is Pisces.
That's crazy.
And the personal planets are more unique to us because they move faster through signs and they move around the sun at more of a rapid pace. So that's why they're most unique to us because if they're changing so fast, not everyone has the same placement there,
Yeah.
same body in that sign. So I can see the first eclipse highlighting your seventh house, which is the relationship sector, the house of love, and the house of our committed partnerships. Okay, so as 2025 has just already been really intense for us,
So much.
yeah, we're revisiting something where we're coming back to something we put down in the spring. And with Saturn in Aries, something we're revisiting from like May, mid-May. So any conversations with your significant other or in your committed partnerships with your partner, with people you have contracts with, if you have employees or clients, these are things to revisit. Not so much things to take action for, not so much things to sign on the dotted line, not like that. But in seeing if you can remember any conversations with these people you're committed to, I will lean more into your partner and the person you're now sharing a space with, living together as your lover and your now roommate and partner. It's like, this is different this eclipse. This is different this time around, living with them, right? So maybe there might be conversations that you had in the spring with the first eclipses that come back up. And when they arise, it's in a different setting. And there just might be something that resurfaces and you come back to, but holding this different perspective because of your new environment, you might have more empathy, Pisces, lunar eclipse in Pisces, and fluidity to be able to go with the flow with that with them.
So I'm looking back because I was like, I wonder what happened in May, and I'm not quite sure. I'm looking back at my camera roll, and it's not giving me too many messages. However, I will say that it feels like we've been making breakthroughs on actually like hearing each other, and we dipped back into the old, but we just got back from a trip in Michigan, and we did, like, it was very smooth sailing. I would say we only, butted heads maybe 3 times the whole week together, which is really good.
No, yeah.
Maybe 4 times. And yeah, there seems to be more of an empathy between us. So I
Yes.
like that you're saying that, and I'm gonna hold the knowing that it's not a negative thing. It's gonna be positive. And these conversations, like it has felt like that.
Yeah.
Like we've been meeting certain things, but we're meeting it in a different energy, which has been really refreshing and really, really nice.
That's really nice to hear. I'm really glad that you feel you are communicating with empathy and both listening, you know. And I say May because that's when Saturn entered Aries and you started your Saturn return. But the first set of eclipses actually happened around spring equinox, which is around March 20th. So it would have been your birthday, your 1 year anniversary, and then
Yeah.
the eclipse is in March. So you can also think back 2 months before what you were just describing. You looked back at May, also look back to March and see
Yeah.
if anything in your journals, anything in,
Yeah.
your prompts were coming through.
We were
Because
having a hard time, I think.
yeah. Well, it's like relationships too are complex and ever evolving.
Oh yeah.
There's never a black and white, it's a
No.
gray area. And I'm going to touch on your communication style because you brought up listening and we brought up conversations. Your Mercury in Pisces needs to have the room to feel. So, Mercury is our personal planet that rules our communication style. And we've had 3 retrograde periods this year. We usually have 3 to 4 a year where Mercury's retrograde. Those times are more difficult to get our thoughts across, more difficult to listen. Those periods of retrogrades are harder, right? To hear each other out and communicate effectively. I will say that Mercury is stationed direct for this eclipse. So we have that going for us.
Wait, so does that mean I struggle more during retrogrades, like Mercury retrograde? Do I
Yes.
struggle more with communication then because my Mercury's in Pisces?
I wouldn't say you struggle because it's in Pisces. I would say we collectively struggle during a
Yeah, got
Mercury
it.
retrograde to
Got it.
get things to land. And
Yeah.
because, it's through the air that we're communicating, and it's like, okay, I'm a spoon out there, and how's it gonna land? In retrograde
Yep.
season, we'll like come swoop it up, get eaten by a
Yep.
bird, not send, like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just
Mm-hmm.
going to be harder for that. However,
Yeah.
I want to focus on your water sign and so much Pisces as a stellium here. You also have your Venus in Pisces and your Mercury in Pisces. This is needing the communication to be an open flow and be empathetic. And for the love that you're giving, your lover and your communication with loving is still that same watery, mutable, empathetic nature because it's Venus in Pisces and Mercury in Pisces. And I see, yeah, so this eclipse, lighting up your relationship sector and having a clear, um, could have a clear communication style without Mercury being retrograde this time around for these eclipses. And you guys have a better environment that's setting you up for more flow and efficiency. but, not going to lie and not going to avoid that the relationship sector is the one for you being lit up. For eclipse season, that just means a shift, and it doesn't have to be major upheaval.
Yeah.
You just have your reverse nodal return and your Saturn return on top of the eclipses right now. And that's what makes it so interesting. So it's like when these things, yeah, when these things happen, it's like maybe you feel like it's one thing after another. And I don't know, I feel like you have a lot of your desire and your creativity in the space for that. You also have your physical space for you and your love to be together. And that's more harmonious this time around. So, what could happen is those conversations resurface, but now you might feel more equipped.
Yeah.
And feel like
Absolutely.
you have more grace with that.
Yeah. And I've noticed too, my partner likes to really talk things out, but sometimes he can feel what I'm feeling because he's also very psychic. And sometimes I don't know how to describe what it is I'm feeling. I just need to feel it. So communicating that has been really hard. And like, I think I used to talk it out loud, but I think I would suppress a lot of what I was feeling because I didn't understand it, or I didn't want to share it because I thought it might hurt someone else. So I
Right.
I have definitely been having to sit in space, and sometimes I will just like close my eyes when we're talking so I can feel, but then he takes that as a she's tuning me out. And so like there has been like needing to understand like each other's communication styles and like asking for space so I can feel and actually try and grasp what has been triggered in my body, if it is something like that, or like what I'm feeling from him saying that, or the
Yeah,
conversation that we're
absolutely.
having. This is very potent. I know that I'm receiving a lot of
Yeah.
energy when I yawn.
I
Even in,
know the yawning is always like
yeah,
channeling.
yeah. In my channeled videos that I filmed earlier, I was yawning so much. So I know this is very
Yeah.
potent. But yeah, I'm gonna hold that as a positive note. I think we are like
Yeah.
moving through a lot, and like a lot of gunk is resurfacing, but we're getting through it a lot easier than we have in the past.
Yeah, and that's so important to notice because it makes you feel the strides of towards success. It makes you feel like these small little baby steps towards like, more of a comforting feeling together is worth noting. Like the small wins are still wins.
Yes.
And to have that together brings you peace during this, to prepare for eclipse season. The communication styles you still say are so important because and I don't know his Mercury, but if anyone out there wants to look up a chart of a loved one, your lover, your partner, anything like that, it is so important. I wish this was literally taught in school because if we were in collaborative moments and in settings with peers and students and teachers, for them to understand our Mercury natally could give them an understanding of how to better communicate. Anyone important in your life, if you have to set boundaries, if you have to communicate important things, having an understanding, good raps and good understanding of their Mercury gives you insight to their communication style. How is it going to land for them? How are you going to deliver it looking at your natal Mercury? Yours, Marissa, with a Pisces, is going to be feelings. So, of course, you can't articulate those into words when you're giving that to him. Of course, you can't name those big emotions because they are so big. It's like I have big feelings right now.
Yeah.
And when I'm going inward with that reflection or going inward with that introspection, I'm not tuning you out in this big conversation.
Just trying to listen and feel. Yeah.
You're tuning in. You're not tuning him out,
Yes.
you're tuning in. And maybe you can
Yes.
invite him
Mm.
in that meditative state to calm down in the conversation. You both tune in. And if he can pick up on your feelings, it's that fluidity and psychic, enlightenment together.
Mm-hmm.
You can understand how you're feeling in your body, how he's feeling, and communicate through the big feelings without articulating them into words, but just taking that moment together to understand, can we connect? Can you understand my feelings right now? Tuning
Yeah.
in together, literally,
Mm-hmm.
physically. And the first house is your body. You mentioned you were feeling this in your body in these major conversations
That's
that the
interesting. Yeah.
eclipse might bring up in your seventh house. How are you feeling in your body? Because it's the physical, the first house is our body. In these conversations, are you being aware of that? How does he make you feel in your body? To
Mm-hmm.
then support the committed partnerships of the seventh house. And that right now would probably be with your partner, right?
Yeah. That's really interesting. I'm gonna keep that in mind. I feel like I'm receiving downloads as to what might occur, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Just a lot
Aw, I'm
of, I
glad it's
think,
exciting.
yeah, a lot of body, I don't want to call them like wounds because that makes it seem like they're, but I think in the past I've experienced a lot of relationships that were not healthy for my body. And so I am excited to see how I can help that heal and come into a new version of self embodied in my body,
Ooh.
while experiencing a loving relationship.
Yes, you get
Mm-hmm.
to rewrite that.
Yeah.
And you're talking about how it feels in your body too. Virgo, with an eclipse in Virgo and Virgo season right now, and the South Node in Virgo, and your reverse North Node in Virgo,
Mm-hmm.
is this Virgo energy. It also rules the nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
So, how we're feeling things on that level
Yeah.
in our nervous system, that's potent right now with the Virgo energy. It rules the gut and our nerves. And so, whatever practices we can do, whatever rituals calm our anxiety, whatever ways we can connect to our body and heal our nervous system would be really potent right now for eclipse season.
Keep that in mind. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. And honestly, because your North and South node are in Virgo and Pisces, and we've hit on Virgo being your second house and a little into your third for Virgo season, we don't have a lot much more to cover because the Pisces Virgo axis, everything's happening there.
Yep.
So Virgo season's landing for you with your second house because that's where Virgo is for you. The Pisces stellium, everything happening for you in Pisces, and the first lunar eclipse in Pisces is happening in your seventh house. And then your North Node in Virgo is still in your second house, where Virgo is in your second house. So that's not something new to cover. That was all about income, just another layer to amplify your second house and your seventh house.
Yes.
Your Saturn in Aries is also in your seventh house using the Placidus system.
Interesting. Okay. I didn't know that.
I'm gonna look
And
at
so the
that.
second house, so the first house was the body, and then the second house was more of that financial stuff, right?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
actually looking. The Saturn in Aries is in your eighth house. So I'm
Oh,
going to cover eighth house for you too because Pisces is in your seventh and eighth. So let's look
okay.
to see where your Aries moon and your Saturn in
Yes.
Aries is having that transition in your eighth house from Pisces to Aries.
Yes.
So this is the end and the beginning. Pisces to Aries is the last of the cycle into the first. And there's initiation here. Huge
Yeah, girl.
initiation. Yeah, with Aries. Aries is a fire element, but the modality for this element is cardinal.
Hmm.
Cardinal modality is all about leadership and initiation. And I really feel that with new beginnings. So the second eclipse that will happen on September 21st is a new moon in Virgo, which is the solar eclipse. That
Mm-hmm.
new moon is a new beginning. And I'm mentioning new beginnings here.
Yes.
So you're closing it out on a new note. That's
Mm,
how I feel for you. And the Aries moon and Saturn have
interesting.
support with that and the initiation and leadership and such.
Yes.
So upon recording this with Marissa, it's September 2nd. Yesterday, September 1st, Saturn re-entered Pisces. And you're probably confused. I'll explain a little bit where Saturn in entering the first of the zodiac, which is Aries. Saturn this May entered Aries, kicking off her Saturn return. But because Saturn is retrograde, it moves along on a path and then it dips back into a sign on its retrograde path. And then a little into 2026 is when it will continue the trajectory into Aries for the final time in Aries for about 2 years. So we have Saturn dipping back into Pisces right now, where it's going to be, this is the last time it'll be in Pisces, but you got a glimpse of Saturn in Aries. You got a glimpse of what that looked like for the start to your Saturn return. What Saturn brings is that discipline and that structure. And now, by yesterday, re-entering into Pisces, you're brought back to a familiar place. And that's comforting to have with the eclipses coming up. And Saturn is heavily involved with the eclipses coming up. So that is where your Saturn return is like on a break, like it's giving you,
Thank God.
throwing you a bone real
Thank
quick.
God. Yeah.
Which
it
comes at a
is
nice time with the eclipse.
Yeah.
So what this 8th house is lighting up with the end of Pisces and the new and the first half of Aries in their 8th house is also where Saturn return is taking place. The 8th house, it has a lot and I love it. It covers really kind of different arenas of life. They don't all add up, but it's the house of transformation.
Of course it is.
Yeah. So this
I feel that.
On like a worldly level, it can be our debts in taxes and loans, which is across from the other house of money, the second house of like the income and the assets and those kinds of monetary themes. But on more of an esoteric level, the 8th house is our subconscious. It's our psyche. It's where it's kind of like endings with transformation, right? Rebirth with transformation. And how other people's money can come in if you're with someone who has a loss in the family and gets inherited money, how that shows up for you, just different things like that. And that's kind of odd. That's in a traditional way. But looking at it with a more mystic lens, which I know your Pisces loves, is to look at it in an esoteric way that shows mystical healing. It shows spirituality on a psyche and a subconscious level. The other house of spirituality is like the 12th house, which is more like hidden and like in the astral, which traditionally rules Pisces, which is your sun.
Yep.
So you're kind of familiar with those, but the 8th house is so much more mysterious. Traditionally ruled by Scorpio. Think about Scorpio themes.
Oh yeah.
In arenas of life.
Underworld.
And kind of occultism. Yeah. So where can you join resources? Where can you heal and invite therapy in? I mean, it has a lot of rebirth and transformation.
Yeah.
Being a house of death is really just like that transformation story. And this is too shadows that will be shed, right? Like you have this come up even in your subconscious, even in the dream realm as a Pisces, it'll probably come through your dreams. Looking at that with mystical healing and looking at that to acknowledge it for what it is and then be okay with some of the shedding. And I know that you mentioned the year of the snake in the first episode, right? So that was even shedding, and the eclipses will have this shift and upheaval. What are we shedding? What are we releasing for the greater and for our highest and best?
Yes. I feel like major Kundalini energy. And so I think it's wild that I was gifted this. It's a Kundalini crystal, quartz, citrine quartz. And yeah, I definitely feel that. I was guiding a meditation too last month and saw the snake with the spirit energy, which is why my friend decided to give me this because she was present for that meditation, and it is this giant shedding. But yeah, I do feel this very transformative energy coming in that is taking me and the collective to new heights, new levels, new ways
Yeah.
of being that we have never experienced before. And in order to get to that place, sometimes you have to cross the underworld. Sometimes you have to
Oh, that's
cross through
absolutely the eighth house.
into that death. But I was once told in an Akashic Records reading that my soul has come here to learn how to die and be reborn, and that through the change and through the death I actually find life, and I find more of my life. And I think that is very
Wow.
interesting. She was like, through each death you come more alive, and I think that is very
Wow.
drawn and signifies this Saturn return, and it probably makes sense as to why my soul chose to experience a Saturn return in the 8th house of death and transformation.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's just learning how to die and be reborn again, learning how to be okay with death, how to be okay with change. And too, personally, I've had a lot of death in my life. I've experienced a lot of physical people dying,
And
but
grief
too,
at the
and grief,
forefront.
yeah, grief too. And so it is very interesting, like, how can I get super comfortable with death energy? And yeah, it's interesting because I don't have any Scorpio in my chart, I don't think, but but I definitely do have a lot of death.
So, so it's because you have 5 placements in your eighth
In
house. You are an eighth house
got it,
stellium, and you're a
got it, got it,
Pisces
got it.
stellium. That these things would
Okay.
occur with transformation. And your sun and moon, your Mercury, your South Node, and Saturn are all in your eighth house. That is so like, oh my gosh, it's all there with
Mm-hmm.
a big focus, that cluster being in the eighth house of this transformation, that your soul incarnate, your soul contract, your purpose here is to experience that as a cycle, which I really love that you got that message previously to understand now that the Saturn return brings through that, right? And
Yeah.
this timing and how this lands for you really resonates with that message you received from the Akashic reading. And I think that that's beautiful. It really, I feel a lot of comfort with you hearing that. And I also can say your eighth house being lit up right here, which is traditionally ruled by Scorpio, is your partner's sign. So it's here that I mean,
Oh,
he shows up here. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And everyone has every sign in their chart. They
True.
just may not have things in that house that kind of looks like an empty house.
Yeah.
For you, talking about Scorpio and transformation and everything, that's in your third house going into your fourth. So that has a lot to do with, in the beginning of it, communication. And then Scorpio into your fourth house is like home and roots. So, like later in life, if you see it as a time, I see that story kind of sometimes as a timeline. Later in life, you would have the grief around roots and the home life and the family and like the root system. But that's also transformation, because what would come out of that is the initiation, and is what coming out of that on the other side for you is the personal independence that your Aries, Saturn, Aries, and Moon in Aries is wanting and taking leadership with in the initiation.
Maybe my second Saturn return
Yeah, maybe the
will
second, oh
bring those
yeah, like
energies.
later in life. Yeah, yeah, very interesting. And only who's to
Mm.
say?
Yeah. Oh, I do resonate with that though, and I'll talk to you on a personal level about
I already
what's coming
telepathically
through.
like know what you mean. Like I
Okay.
already understand. We are
Okay.
so connected. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, I see. I know. And that's
Yeah.
okay. Some things, guys, we have personal. We hold close to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but this is all food for thought and gives you so much more cosmic insight to what this time is like, how it might
Yeah.
land for you, what the eclipse is bringing for you in the Saturn return and Virgo season, and how all of that's lighting up different areas of life in the houses, different arenas.
Absolutely. This has been so informative and eye-opening. I'm so grateful for your wisdom and your ability to read the stars. You've always been connected to this and you've always, been drawn to this. And I trust this because you have that potent knowledge to share. You were maybe one of the first civilizations to use the stars or to bring that knowledge to Earth. I know
Oh,
you feel resonant with Anunnaki, and
yes.
I definitely see that as like a lifetime where you like set this system up on Earth and now are here re-experiencing it. Like that resonates
Wow.
so much. Yeah,
That
that
fully
resonates.
lights me up and
Yeah,
resonates. Thank you for bringing in that message. My
yeah.
soul is like vibrating.
Catch our next episode where I give B a past life regression. No,
No,
past life
literally,
reading.
we have to also talk galactic, of course.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, this has been amazing. I can't wait to
No, thank
talk with you
you.
off cam. But
Yeah,
um
and just the way that we can hear things in pop astrology here, and I'm really away from pop astrology, more into traditional and the folklore and origins, right? The mythologies of the stars and
yes.
constellations that
Yes.
write these narratives and represent the aliases of all the zodiacs. I care about that and the origins to understand why it means what it means. So
Hmm.
I want to relay that in a digestible way. So if you're hearing things like Saturn return and retrograde and nodal axis, all these kinds of things, I just want everyone to understand what that means and see how it lands for them personally. So
Yeah,
thank you so much for receiving this and inviting me on
absolutely.
for the cosmic insight. We both get to share such beautiful messages in our channels both and provide our little tidbits in our own
Yes,
specialties in our own ways.
absolutely. I'm so grateful for this space. And thank you everyone for watching. Be sure to go check out part one
Yeah.
and two, check out B and her podcast and her socials, all under Be Free, the letter B and then free, because we should all be a little free. And
Yes. Thank
yes.
you.
And then yeah, you know where to find me, Earth to Marissa on everything. And Earth to Mouth, a new channel being created for just another form of content, some food content and healthy living. So check that out too, and we will see you soon.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you
Enjoy Eclipse
guys.
season. Hope you stay
Eclipse
alive.
blessings.